Hey, what's up everybody? Art Boss here on the East Coast at Boss Strength and Conditioning, bringing to you another Boss Strength Classic Strongman workout. Today's workout is called Yoked, and we're going to start with basically it's going to be 5 movements. A starter, 3 classic strongman movements, and then a finisher. The starter is going to be called the firewood fling, and it's just a good movement to get the quadruple extension rolling along. And then the yoke is just a full body movement, which is a classic strongman moving implement. And then we're going to move on to a car frame deadlift, which is another classic strongman movement. And then we're going to finish off our strongman movements with a stone load to a platform, which is really the signature movement for strongman. Everybody loves the stones. And then we're going to finish off with a sled drag. So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or any suggestions on future workouts, hit me up down below in the comment section. And definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you can stay up to date and motivated throughout the coming year with all our latest releases and new videos. So let's get right to it. Our first movement, the firewood fling, I just have little pieces of wood with handles cut out on them, and we're just gonna start by tossing these using a triple extension up as high as we can and as far as we can, just really not going heavy. Most of these are probably, the heaviest one is like 17 pounds. And starting with the lightest ones, maybe like 7 pounds, and just really firing off 4 quick throws as fast as we can. And that just really gets an explosiveness started that will carry through the entire workout. And it just really, this is like the 3rd workout where we started with an explosive movement. It really tends to carry over nicely into the other movements, which is, you know, the yoke, walk, the car deadlift today, and then the stones. So again, you don't want to go heavy. This is really just for explosive power, and so we want to go light, and we're just doing 4 throws as quick as possible and 3 rounds of those 4 throws, and that'll fire up the fast twitch muscle fibers nicely. So here we go. Next up is going to be the yoke walk. Now with the yoke walk, there's 2 ways you can set it on your neck. You can, just like a squat, you can have a low and a high position. I like the high right at the bottom of my traps and the top of my delts. there's that little ridge, and that's where I like to set it. And then you want to, once you set it, you want to activate the back. So I like to push out on the posts. Some people like to pull in, and even a different position is the top bar position of the hands, and some people like to use that to activate the back and feel it more. But I like to hold the pins and push out, and that retracts the scapula nicely and takes the pressure off the legs, so once you lift it, you can start to move. The second tip is you don't want to squat it like a foot off the ground. You want just enough clearance with the ground to move and not have it drag or touch. So the smaller the pick, the better, because the less energy you're using. And then the third tip is you want to start with small steps and build your speed. So that way, you know, you're not losing control of the implement and dropping it and having to repick it. Everything in Strongman, you want to really economize your effort, because if you drop it a lot and have to pick it a lot, you're going to waste a lot of energy, and you know, by the fourth event or fifth event in a contest, you're going to be totally wiped out. So you don't want to struggle with the weight. You want to minimize that. So small steps will really help you out. Let's see what that looks like. The next movement is the car frame deadlift, and what we're going to be using today is a tire, and that's about an 800-pound tire, plus we have added weights. So a couple of tricks for this lift is just to really get used to the sponginess of the lift. When you're using a car, that's the hardest thing to get acclimated to is just that feel of the car on there and the shocks and the weight bouncing. And the tire does give you a good a starting position for that working into the car, because it does tend to bounce a little bit on there like the car with the shocks does, and then you can work your way up. If you can use a car and you can't get it from the bottom position, a nice trick is to set like an 8-inch block under the car frame, and then start with like a partial deadlift or a rack pull in the top position, and that gives you a good feel for that sponginess, and that gets a lot of people through that sticking point of getting it off the ground. So, because that's really the hard part, is to get used to that spongy feel of the car from the bottom position. And by working like a rack pull out of the top, like say 8 inches into lockout, and that's a good place to start. So just a little trick. And as far as weight goes, you know, start with like your body weight and then work up into 2 or 3 times your body weight, depending on how advanced you are. So let's see how that looks. Okay, we're going to finish up with the stone load. A couple keys to the stone is just number one, you don't want to squat the stone into your lap. You want to hip hinge it. Your hip hinge is your strongest lift, so you would just want to utilize that hip hinge to load it into the lap. Once you get it into the lap, you want to come over top of the stone, top third quadrant of the stone to set your hands and your arms, and pull it into your chest. Activate the top third of your back. Retract those scapulas as hard as you can, lock it to your chest, and then explode out of that bottom position with a quadruple extension and load it onto the platform. I have a video which is stone loading made easy, or Strongman stones made easy. You might want to check that out on YouTube. That really breaks it down into easy to follow steps, and gives you visuals to show you every step of the stone load. So, but basically, use your hip hinge to load it into your lap. Come over the top third quadrant of the stone to set your hands and your arms, and activate the top third of your back, and retract those scapula, lock it to your chest, and then explode up with a quadruple extension and load it onto the platform. And last but not least, we're going to finish off with a sled drag. Just a couple keys of the sled drag is, for a finisher, you don't want to go too heavy. If you're training for a contest, you know, you can load up the weight and really make it a hard event. But for a finisher, we just like to keep it light, right around probably 3/4 of our body weight, and do a couple pulls, and that gets the lower body pretty smoked and works the cardiovascular system too. Gives you a nice finishing movement. So we're going to finish with 2 pulls of that, and that'll be it. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to hit me up down below. Any suggestions on future workouts, I would love that. Just give me ideas of what you want to see. We can pretty much do everything here, and I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to Boss Strength. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you can stay up to date and motivated throughout the coming year. Thanks again. Have a great one.
Would you believe if I told you that I don't want to go back? I'm just afraid that I'll lose you, and I don't want to hide or waste another life.